Welcome to video 4 of our conversation about narrative care as a therapeutic approach to counseling in general and to Christian counseling in particular. I'm Dr. Johan Martin. I'm a clinical counselor and I specialize in chronic stress-related conditions and disorders. I am author of the book Moving On from Chronic Stress to Sustainable Resilience. The aim of video 4 is to introduce you to your own reactive brain, to anxiety and to fear. And how narrative care can help you feel safe again. Today we are going to focus our attention on 3 emotional experiences, apart from anger, that are also common in our intimate family and other relationships. They are anxiety, fear, and safety. I will explain the difference among these emotional experiences, as well as the role that each one plays in domestic and other violence. In order for us to understand these emotional experiences, I have to explain something really important about our brain. If we fold the fingers of one hand around our thumb, our fist will somehow look like a brain. Our thumb will represent a part of our brain that does not think. We call that part our reactive brain or limbic system. The rest of our fingers will represent the part of our brain that actually does think. We call that part our responsive brain or cerebrum. Our reactive brain consists of various nodes or little conglomerates of neurons, like the hippocampus, amygdala, hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. They each have different functions, but together they work as a system to prepare our bodies to protect us from real or potential danger or to be productive. Apparently, the task of the amygdala is to detect any changes in the sensory impulses received from our sensory organs. Changes in smells, sounds, temperature, taste, visual sights, texture of surfaces, etc. These impulses first reach our reactive brain before they reach our responsive brain. If the changes are familiar, our reactive brain will experience a sense of safety. It will continue to enhance productive action throughout our whole body, including offensive, defensive, or creative action. If the changes are unfamiliar though, our reactive brain will experience a sense of potential danger associated with anxiety. It will trigger a neurobiological stress reaction that will prepare our whole body for protective action within parts of a second. Now, do you still remember the 16 potentially dangerous scenarios and emotions we mentioned in video 3? Well, it is important to understand that our responsive brain or cerebrum has been developing and organizing itself along these lines since day one. It has been developing and organizing various dedicated neural networks, almost like the way our hands developed fingers. Each one of these networks deals with a unique aspect of the way things should be from their own perspective. For instance, from a consistency or from a shame perspective. By organizing it itself in this way, our responsive brain can process new information in terms of the way things should be from various perspectives and then remember the processed outcomes in the form of meaningful and emotion-colored stories. For instance, inconsistency stories or shame stories. These dedicated neural networks actually specialize in two things. The first is to think about or process sensory information related to changes in the sensory impulses we continuously receive from our sensory organs. The second is to remember or accommodate processed sensory information. The processing of information for every one of these specialized neural networks seems to include the following three safety questions. 1. Is the sensory information unfamiliar or familiar? 2. Is the information inconsistent or consistent, or in other words, incongruent or congruent with the way things should be? And number 3, is the information uncontrollable or controllable? If the information turns out to be unfamiliar, the answers to question 2 and 3 will be uncertain, which is associated with anxiety. If the information turns out to be familiar, but incongruent with the way things should be, and uncontrollable, we will experience uncontrollable incongruence, which is associated with fear. If the information turns out to be familiar and incongruent with the way things should be, but controllable, we will experience controllable incongruence, which may eventually be associated with anger. Any one of the neural networks feeds even one of these danger messages back to our reactive brain. Our reactive brain will prolong the stress reaction, which again will keep our whole body in a protective mode until further notice. Narrative care as a therapeutic approach to counseling in general is to facilitate controllable congruence, which is associated with safety. Once we ask the narrative question, we identify the danger emotion and danger scenario at play. If the client experiences anxiety, we will aim to move his or her experience forward towards fear and then to safety. This means the aim is to help the client establish a familiar scenario, then to make adjustments that will be congruent to the way things should be, and then to regain an optimum measure of control. Thank you for watching this video. In our next video 5, we will deal with resilience, chronic stress, and narrative care. Have a great day, and remember to do the caring thing.